Welcome to OP's Math E-Pathshala.
So today this is the second lecture of uh, inner product spaces. Part 2. And in the previous lecture I have already discussed about 5 examples of inner product spaces, and the last one was the set of all continuous complex valued functions on the closed unit interval -1 1, that is C -1 1. This is the set of all those complex valued continuous functions defined on the closed unit interval -1 1, equipped with the inner product defined by, for any two functions f and g, integration -1 to 1, it is ft gt conjugate dt, for all f comma g belongs to c -1 1. It should be noted that you can define this inner product for a set of all complex valued continuous functions defined on any closed interval AB. That is, one can define in the same way on the set CAB, where CAB is the set of all complex valued continuous functions defined on the closed interval AB. And inner product FG equals to A to B FT GT bar dt. Yeah. Now in the next I shall discuss on the general view of inner product spaces for any finite dimensional complex vector space. Although we have studied in our previous lecture that Rn, Cn, these are all inner product spaces, and in the same way we can define. The next example was, it is a sixth example. So if we consider a finite dimensional complex vector space V with dimension of V is, suppose n, say, and since it is of dimension n, so we should consider an ordered basis. So let curly B equal to E1, E2, En be an ordered basis for V. So with respect to this ordered basis, one can define, one can have for any vector in the vector space V, it can be expressed uniquely as a linear combination of these vectors u1, e2, en, and these expressions are unique since it is a basis. So given any 2 points, so given any 2 vectors u, v in the vector space V with coordinates, that is, if we consider the linear expression, linear combination of u1, e2, en of the vector u, then we will find n number of unique scalars for the vector u, and these scalars are called coordinates. So u with coordinates alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n, and v is a vector with coordinates beta 1, beta 2, beta n. Then we define for these 2 vectors the inner product uv is defined to be as is alpha k, beta k bar, where k equal to 1 to n. And it is your exercise to check on your own that this is an inner product on V. As it has been already done in the spaces Rn, Cn. So in the same way, we can also deduce that yes, this is an inner product on the complex vector space V with dimension n. And this example says that every finite dimensional complex vector space can be endowed with an inner product. So this says that every finite dimensional complex vector space can be endowed with an inner product. So this is an observation, that is every finite dimensional complex vector space can be made an inner product space. And our last example in this connection, so there are many examples, but we will finish our illustrations of examples of inner product spaces with this example, that is, let V equals to RAV, where RAV denotes the space of all, it is the vector space of all real valued Riemann integrable functions. Over the closed interval AB. So the space of all real valued Riemann integrable functions over the closed interval AB. And one can show that this is a vector space with respect to the vector addition defined by the vector addition can be defined as, suppose we are considering 2 functions, Riemann integrable functions f and g, then their addition will be the function whose functional values will be fx plus gx. So this is a natural kind of definition. So for all x belongs to the closed interval AB. And the scalar multiplication is for any scalar alpha and for any Riemann integrable function defined on AB f. So alpha f is also Riemann integrable, and alpha f at x will be defined by alpha into fx. So this is our scalar multiplication defined on the set RAB, and with respect to this vector addition and scalar multiplication, this set forms a vector space over the field of reals. Now, in addition to these structures, we would like to define an inner product, as we have defined it in the space CAB. So the definition is for FG belongs to RAB, the product will be defined by the integration into V ft gt dt. So it is again a routine checkup to show that this is an inner product on. So check on your own that this is an inner product on RAB. And note that this is infinite dimensional vector space. Okay. Now we shall move to the discussion of introducing the concept of length of vectors in an inner product space, which can be achieved by using our inner product. So this is our next part of discussion, and let me start by giving an observation that in an inner product space V, for any non-zero vector, V, for any non-zero vector, we shall have the inner product of V with itself. It must be a positive real by the definition of inner product in the vector space V. And since it is a positive real number, so we can introduce the length of a vector using this inner product. So what will be the definition? So suppose you are considering an inner product space over a field F, which is R or C. So then for a vector V belongs to capital V, the length of the vector V, or we can say that the norm of the vector V, which will be denoted by norm V, defined as the real number root over inner product v comma v. That is, length of the vector v will be the square root of the real number inner product v comma v. It is the non-negative square root. We are not considering the negative square root. Non-negative square root. Yeah. So in this way, if we have in our hand an inner product on a vector space V, then we can introduce the length of that vector just by defining the non-negative square root of the real number, which is the inner product V comma V. And this way of defining length is similar to that of in the case of our lower dimensional cases, that is in R2, R3. So this is this definition is compatible with the definition we have been studied in R, R2, R3, etc. But this is a general definition for an inner product space V. Yeah. Now, what do you mean by a unit vector? Now we can define unit vector because we have length of vector. So we can define unit vector in terms of the length. That is, a vector with norm 1 or a vector with length 1 will be defined as a unit vector. So a vector of norm 1 or length 1, whatever you can use, length 1. Yeah. A vector of norm 1 or length 1 is defined to be a unit vector. That is, norm must be 1 for a unit vector. And it should be observed that if you have a non-zero vector v, suppose you have a non-zero vector v, then one can define a unit vector in terms of v by this way. That is, we considering the vector with the scalar multiple norm v of v, that is v by norm v. So this is a unit vector. Why it is a unit vector? Because if we put norm, then we will find that this is 1. So this is a unit vector. And this unit vector is called, it is a unit vector in the direction of v. Here. Okay. Okay. Now let us have a look at the following lemma. So the lemma is very simple. For an inner product space V over F is ROC, then for UV belongs to V, and for alpha beta belongs to the field F, the inner product alpha u plus beta v with alpha u plus beta v, it can be deduced that it will be mod alpha square u plus alpha beta bar uv plus alpha bar beta vu plus mod beta square v v. Yeah, so this is easy to check because just by using the definition of inner product you will have this lemma. So this is an easy exercise. Okay. And now with respect to this lemma, one can have the following. So in an inner product space, V over F, the norm of the vector alpha u will be mod alpha norm u for any u belongs to capital V and for any alpha belongs to capital F. Yeah. Why it is true? Because if you just using the definition of norm of alpha u, then you will find that the norm alpha u square will be the inner product alpha u alpha u. And then by using the definition of an inner product, you will have, this is for this one, it will be out as alpha, and for this coordinate, it will be out as alpha bar, and it is uu. Yeah. So alpha alpha bar will be mod alpha square, and inner product uu will be norm u square. So then by taking non-negative square roots from both sides, so taking non-negative square roots from both sides, we have norm alpha u will be mod alpha norm u. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now we proceed to an extremely important inequality, which is commonly known as Cauchy-Schwarz inequality, and it has been used extensively in every branch of mathematics. So what is the inequality? The statement is very simple: Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. Okay. And it says that the statement is, if we consider an inner product Inner product space over a field F is R of C. You don't need to write down every time because we should understand what is it. So what F, then for any vectors UV belongs to this, the modulus value of, since it is a real number, since it is a complex number, so the modulus value of this inner product will be at most norm U, norm V, the product of the norms of the respective vectors. So this modulus value will be at most norm U, norm V, and equality holds. This modulus value will be equal to this one. So moreover, the equality holds if and only if the only case is U and V are linearly dependent. That means U and V are collinear, lies in the same line. Okay. Linearly independent. And furthermore, if U is a non-zero vector, then V can be written as, if equality holds for that case, if U is non-zero, then V can be written as the inner product V comma U by norm U and of U by norm U. This is the unit vector along U. So if equality holds, then U and V are linearly dependent, and if U is not equal to theta, then V can be represented like this way. So now let us have a look on the proof of this inequality. Now the first case will be if suppose U is theta, null vector, then we don't have any issues, because if U is theta, then inner product U comma V, it will be 0. There is no other way. Theta, then this inner product will be 0, and norm U is also 0, which implies that mod of inner product UV, it is 0, and norm U, norm V is 0. So we are done. So you do not need to go for any complication. So let we suppose the other case, that is if U is non-zero. Now if U is non-zero, we will introduce a vector. Just consider this vector which looks like lambda U plus V. So it is a vector in V. So we consider this vector lambda U plus V, where lambda has been chosen as the scalar, which is minus inner product V U by norm u square. Yeah, that is, we can have this kind of scalar by the condition that lambda u plus v is orthogonal to u. Just look at this one. I am writing down. That is, I have not yet defined orthogonality, but okay. So lambda u plus v is the inner product with u will be 0. So this is the condition to determine this scalar lambda. That is, we are considering the vector lambda u plus v with the condition that lambda u plus v will be of inner product 0 with u. Because if it is 0, then we will have this, that is lambda uu plus vu. So this is 0. So lambda non u square equal to minus inner product vu, and this is lambda equal to minus inner product vu by non u square. So this is the condition which will determine the scalar lambda. Now with this value of lambda, now we have just we want to deduce the inner product lambda u plus v with lambda u plus v, and it will be greater or equal to 0 by the definition of inner products for all lambda belongs to f, for all v belongs to v. Yeah, this is true for any lambda by the due to the definition of inner product. Now we put the value of lambda here, then what will happen? So let us have a look. So 0 less or equal to lambda u plus v, lambda u plus v, and this can be expanded as, so it will be lambda lambda bar u comma u plus lambda u comma v plus, for this one, lambda bar v comma u plus v comma v. So thus we have, so for this it is mod lambda square okay, so it is mod lambda square non u square plus sorry, it is minus, just we put the value of lambda here, so it is minus
স্যার আপনার মাইক অফ হয়ে গেছে।
স্যার কিছু শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, আপনার মাইকটা বোধহয় অফ।
দেখো তো শোনা যাচ্ছে?
এবার ঠিক আছে, এবার ঠিক আছে।
Okay. So minus vu bar non mu square vu plus norm v square. So this will give that. So what we shall get? Okay. So from this one we will have, so mod lambda square. So that means it is mod of inner product v comma u square by norm u to the power 4 norm u square, and then this one will be, now look at this one, this is uv. So uv will be, inner product uv will be the conjugate of the inner product vu. This one uv is inner product vu. So then multiplying this one with this, we will have mod of inner product vu square. So we write down it as mod of inner product vu square by norm u square. Again, for this one we already have, so it is inner product, mod of inner product vu square by norm of u square and plus norm v square. So by this just cancelling this one, so it will be norm u square. So then by adding these three we will have, so norm v square minus mod of inner product vu square by norm u square. So this real number is greater or equal to 0, and this proves that, so norm of inner product vu square by norm u square is less or equal to norm v square. So that means we will change it to, since we are in mod, so we can change it to inner product uv square is less or equal to norm u square norm v square. So now taking the non-negative square root from both sides, we will have, so modulus uv inner product uv is less or equal to norm u norm v, taking non-negative square roots. Yeah. So this proves the general inequality. Now we should come to the case where equality holds. So now when the equality holds if and only if this inner product must be equal to 0. That is inner product lambda u plus v lambda u plus v, this must be 0. That is if and only if. Now this inner product is 0. So using the definition of inner product, we will have, so lambda u plus v must be 0. That is if and only if whenever v can be written as minus lambda u. Now what is lambda? So that is if v is, so what is lambda? Lambda has been already determined by this condition. This is one, this one. So it is minus inner product vu by norm u square. So v will be inner product vu by norm u square u. And this says that is if and only if u and v are linearly dependent. Are linearly dependent. Moreover, we can express V as this one is phi, comma, we just put one norm u inside the inner product, so it is u norm u, and one norm u just putting it to the u, this, where this one is the unit vector along u. Okay. So this completes the proof of the result, which is known as Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. Now this is a general inequality. Now if we go through the examples, particular examples, we will see its important versions. Suppose in Rn, in Cn, in the space CAB, in RAB. So in respective spaces, how does it look? Now, if we look at the basic inner product space, that is Rn, then we will see that if you consider two vectors x and y in Rn with coordinates, if x has coordinates x1, x2, xn, y has coordinates y1, y2, yn, then the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality becomes summation xi yi I equal to 1 to n, because this is the inner product xy, and this is less or equal to xi square I equal to 1 to n to the power half, and summation yi I equal to 1 to n y square to the power half, because this is the length of the vector in Rn. So Cauchy-Schwarz inequality looks like this in respective spaces. Now if we look at the space, suppose we are considering C01 or C minus 1, 1, whatever it is. So then its inner product will be 0 to 1 ft gt bar dt. So with respect to this inner product, the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality looks like, so just putting the inner product here, that is fg must be less or equal to norm f norm g. So that is norm of the inner product is this. So in integration 0 to 1 ft integration 0 to 1 ft gt bar dt, it is less or equal to, now what is norm f? So here norm f is, that is root over of inner product ff, that is root over of inner product f comma f. So that is inner product. So what is inner product f comma f? That is integration 0 to 1 ft bar, that is integration 0 to 1 mod ft square dt. So that means it is root over integration 0 to 1 mod ft square mod ft square dt root over integration 0 to 1 mod gt square dt. So these are some examples how the Cauchy inequality looks like in respective inner product spaces. You can also check for other spaces also. So now I would like to check the two important identities which we have already familiar from childhood. That is, first one is Pythagoras law and the second one is parallelogram law. Now what is Pythagoras law? Pythagoras theorem or law identity. What is this? So generally speaking, in an inner product space, V over F in an inner product space, V over F for any two vectors, for any UV is 0. Then the norm of U square plus norm of V square, that is what we are familiar the theorem, familiar with the theorem that the base square plus the perpendicular square equal to hypotenuse square. So this is this one, the base square plus perpendicular square, that is equal to the hypotenuse. What will be the hypotenuse? That is the sum of the vectors, that is norm of U plus V equal to this. So this is equal to norm of U plus V square. So for any two vectors UV having the property that their inner product is 0, then norm U square plus norm V square equal to norm U plus V square. So in school geometry, it was, the statement was, in a right angle triangle, the base, the square of the base plus the square of the perpendicular equals to the square of the hypotenuse. So that is the statement. And in general inner product spaces, we can write down the statement like this. Okay. So what is the proof? Proof is very simple. Just evaluate the norm of U plus V. What will be the norm U plus V square? So this is inner product by definition. This is inner product U plus V, U plus V. So that is UU plus UV plus VU plus VV. So by expanding the inner product, we will have this. Now our condition is that the inner product of UV is 0. So this and this will be 0. So we will get at last, that is inner product UU plus inner product VV, that is norm U square plus norm V square. So this proves the identity. In a similar way, just one can have the next important property which are simple although, but it has great impact in mathematics. Parallelogram law. And not only that, this law will have some more characters in inner product space. Okay. So let me first check that does it hold here. So in an inner product space, V over F for any two vector UV belongs to V, norm of U plus V square plus norm of U minus V square equal to the 2 times of norm U square plus norm V square. Yeah, this one. So this is called the parallelogram law. So I will not prove this one, it is left as an exercise to you. So just check by evaluating these two norms in terms of inner products. That is, norm U plus V square will be inner product U plus V comma U plus V, then expand this inner product and you will get the expansion, and again just do it for U minus V, then summing them up you will get this result, but do it on your own. So now today I shall finish my lecture session by introducing the angle between two vectors, which is one of the important feature, I must say the built-in feature which inner product space has, that is angle between two vectors. Yeah. Now let us consider a real vector space. Real vector space V. Then for any two non-zero vectors, now Cauchy-Schwarz inequality tells us that mod of inner product UV is less or equal to norm U norm V. That means it can be written as -1 is less or equal to inner product UV by norm U norm V less or equal to 1. So this one is in between. So this is the real number in between -1 and 1. Now the cosine function, we all know that the cosine function is a surjection from the interval 0, pi to the interval -1, 1. Cos function is bijective from 0 pi to -1, 1. Surjective. So cos function is surjective from 0 pi to -1, 1. Okay. Is it bijective? Yes, yes, yes. 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 Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it is bijective. Yeah. Okay. So, due to this property of cosine function, since this is a real number in between -1, 1, and this function is surjective, so what you will get? So there exists a theta belongs to R, or you can say that theta belongs to the closed interval 0 pi, such that cos of theta must be equal to the inner product uv by norm u norm v, where theta is actually in 0 pi. So with the help of Cauchy-Schwarz inequality, we have found a real number in 0 pi interval, closed interval, which satisfies the property that the cosine of this real is equal to the inner product of uv by norm u norm v. This theta is defined to be the angle between u and v. U and v. So theta will be defined to be the angle between u and v just by using the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality on real vector spaces. Now one can say that if we consider the angle between v and u, will it be different from the previous one? No, because since it is a real vector space, so uv is equal to vu. So the angle between u and v is same as the angle between v and u. For example, in R3, so this is our formula of calculating angle between two non-zero vectors. Okay. For example, in R3, what will be the angle between the points 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1, 1? Suppose it is u and it is v. Then cos theta will be the inner product 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1 by norm of 1, 1, 0, norm of 1, 1, 1. Yeah. So this is 1 plus 1 by this one is root over 1 plus 1, and this is 1 plus 1 plus 1. So this is 2 by root 2 root 3. So that means it is root 2 by root 3. That is root over 2 by 3. So theta will be cos inverse of root over 2 by 3. So this is the angle. This is the angle. So you can calculate angle between two non-zero vectors in any real inner product spaces. Okay. So okay. So this ends our today's lecture.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like and share.